Just making some noises till we get started here, guys. And we're off. It is Monday, August 21st, 2023 AD. Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time here in Los Angeles. It looks like I have to reset my stream on Odyssey because I'm not hearing it. Gonna have a fun show today, guys. I may bring in the anchor baby for a segment in the next several minutes here, maybe, about smartphones. Smartphones. Psh, making us dumb. But they're making updates, universalizing them. That's cool. Nice. We are going on Odyssey. We're going to talk about Megyn Kelly versus this HIV journalist. HIV journalist. Journalists. Some of the worst people in the world. It's basically a synonym for various slurs. Am I right? I would like to sort of rehash some interesting, informative super chats, coffees from BasedAmericaFirst about the climate mess. Did you know that the China virus is coming back? It never really left us. It's endemic, I heard. Or is it? Whatever. And I may share some other things. I've been meaning to get to this Britney Spears third marriage failure. What a mess. Terrible. Poor Britney Spears. Her bag. And this Based Teen. I don't really think I ever played it. Did I play that Based Teen avoiding the rainbow painted pavement sidewalk thing? So hopefully I'll get to that as well. And your calls, guys, if you would like to call in. Some of you already getting on there, on hold. But anyway, everybody, let's get right on. And some beautiful manly Men's History Month music with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. Wow, thank you, Canadian David. Canadian David is now a monthly supporter on the Hake Report Rumble. Nice. Did you know that you can be a monthly supporter as well as super chat on rumble.com/thehakereport/live? Pretty cool. Sweet, man. Thanks. Appreciate the support. Oh, man. Oh, I'm wearing it looks like a white tee, but it's actually off-white, but it looks white. And I'm white, too. So white on white. And I'm wearing I don't know, I like the design. I'm standing up a little bit so you can see. Looks like trees, forest here down below. It has a print on this off-white t-shirt. Forest, unfortunately, it's not 100% cotton. Don't ask me why. Oh, you can ask me, but I don't know why. It's 40% like recycled polyester. But I figure, it's rainy and it's cooler today. It's not as humid. Maybe it's humid, but it's at least cooler, fresher today. Yesterday was hot, muggy, which I think means humid, and raining, like wet. And it was not comfortable. It reminded me of Florida. Hake needs some push-ups, says Richel. Touche. Hake thinks he's white. And then on top of this print thing, it has mountains up top. The picture doesn't exactly make sense in terms of it being one single photograph, but it's two combined together. It looks cool to me. Nice. Scenery. Okay, whatever. Okay, let's get right into this. You know what? Let me call Nick, the American anchor baby, in. I need some help with this story. Nick, American anchor baby, live at noon Pacific time, which is 2 Central, 3 Eastern, 1 Mountain time, 1 o'clock Mountain Daylight time, right? 12 noon Mountain Standard Time.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think.
No. I forget.
I have a smart uncle who could tell me.
Yeah, we're in daylight time, right? So it's noon Mountain Daylight Time right now. But later on, when we fall back, it'll be 1 again, Mountain Standard Time.
Is that today?
No. Later when we fall back. We say that because we ignore Mountain Time because of Arizona. You're welcome. Shout out to the people in Arizona.
Yeah, they have normal time.
Yeah, they only go Standard Time.
Yeah.
And then we feel like they're the ones who are weird. Shameful.
The brainwashing goes deep.
Indeed. So I read this in Hake News. Full text. And you tell me how much this makes sense to you.
Okay.
Call me Nonsense Network. CNN reports this morning. If you're on the fence about buying a new iPhone, I'm shaking my head.
Uh-oh.
You may want to take a beat. Apple's fall product launch next month is all but certain to include the iPhone 15. And rumors say it will switch from the Lightning charging port to the faster charging USB-C. So I'm like, I Googled what is a smartphone because because I started to think, then it'll be more standard, kind of like the Androids. Because there's only 2 types of phones, right? Apples and Androids. But not exactly. There's also like Amazon Fire, which is, I guess, in the Windows phone. Those aren't necessarily Androids, or are they?
Oh, you're right. I guess they're such little operating systems, you don't even think about them.
Right.
Because that's the main difference in the phones. It's the brain, I guess.
Yeah.
But the software.
Right.
That's why they're called Android or Apple.
Yeah. Like it's only 2 only games in town. It's an oligarchy. Is that oligarchy? Duopoly?
I guess. I don't know if you can call that about Android because Android is a different philosophy. They're like...
It's open source,
It's open
right?
source, so...
And so all kinds of... Samsung makes Androids, but so does all these other things.
And they sometimes reskin it or even go further and make their product.
Right.
Meanwhile, Apple is like this Garden of Eden.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Terrible.
Perfect ecosystem.
Is Apple supposed to be the forbidden fruit? Because the
I don't know,
forbidden
it's starting
fruit
to feel
wasn't
like
necessarily an apple.
Right,
But
I heard
it has
it's
a bite
pomegranate.
taken out of it. Oh, it might have been a pomegranate?
I heard that once.
Wow. So, first sentence. You ever heard of is this an idiom? Take a beat?
Don't ask. Apparently I'm the worst at this. I've been starting off my show every day saying, let's get the show on the roll. That's not true, right?
Right, it's good this show
That's
on
not,
the road.
Oops. So big, and I keep doing it.
But you could call it, that could be your idiom or your phrase because you're rolling out onto the
tarmac.
Yeah, the tarmac, which is the landing strip, which is the runway.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. Why is
it called tarmac?
I think it's like as opposed to asphalt. It's like a different ceiling thing and all that. You know what I mean? Like a different material.
Yeah. Because when I hear tarmac, I'm thinking kind of like tartan track, which is that rubbery stuff that they're making tracks out of instead of dirt.
They changed that? Yeah, it's a material used for surfacing roads, in particular the runway of a airport.
Okay.
Tarmac.
So it's kind of like
British.
hard concrete because asphalt's too soft.
It might be.
And it'll get ripped
porous, I believe.
Yeah, so I think of it as being more like concrete.
And
maybe
sealed, more sealed in my mind.
Okay.
But I'm no materials expert.
Makes sense. Because those things are heavy and they skid. They're meant to skid a little bit.
Big time.
Right?
Yeah. These big old wheels stopping all that weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're skidding on that.
I think I have take a beat. I had to look up take a beat in the dictionary. No, on Google. Take a beat means, did you pick up what it meant?
That's the thing. I can glean what it means.
Okay.
It makes sense in context. Yeah, to skip this generation, they're saying, of iPhone. Maybe.
I had no idea because I thought that maybe it meant get right on it, take a beat, get right on it, or pause for a beat. Maybe.
That's how
I guess
took it.
that's what it meant.
Right.
Okay. Because that's what it actually means. Pause before reacting.
Uh-huh.
And then they give an example. Whether it's feeling irritated with my toddler or offended upon getting a rude something in the heat of an argument, frustrated with my toddler or offended upon getting a rude text, email, DM in the heat of an argument, taking a beat has become one of my best tools in my arsenal.
Whoa, seems a little specific and personal. Didn't think we'd get a glimpse in this person's life.
Oh, it's from a blog, The Power of Taking
okay.
a Beat, and it's from the website becauseI'maddicted.net.
Oh, Lord.
Whoa. I don't know. It was the first result on Google. They have good Google Analytics. But that's what taking a beat means. Sean references Oxford, which is fake news. Beat means a main accent or rhythmic unit in music or poetry. So it could, yeah, like Hassan says, maybe a musical reference.
Take a beat.
All right.
Taking a beating. See,
Right.
I didn't even take it like that, though.
Yeah.
When you said it in that article, it sounded like
Musical.
the first one.
Yeah.
Or at least just taking a moment.
Right. So wait until next month because the fall product launches next month, which is September. Does fall start in late? Fall starts in like a month?
I think it does.
Yeah, so we're in the last third of summer, I guess.
But they're saying skip this whole
yeah.
release. Or what are you saying?
No, they're saying if you're on the fence about buying it, you may want to take a beat and buy next month, I guess. Because they're saying Apple's fall product launch next month is all but certain to include iPhone 15. So it sounds like CNN is promoting buying the iPhone 15. Rumors say it will switch from the Lightning charging port to the faster charging, they call it, USB-C. I didn't know USB-C charged faster.
They called it faster charging?
Yeah.
That's funny.
CNN.
Journalism is dead.
Is it
Taking sides,
Yeah,
taking sides on the port supremacy battle.
I'm holding these white cords against my off-white T-shirt, and you can't distinguish. Let me hold it against the beautiful sky.
Yeah, because this is basically big companies fighting for proprietary supremacy.
Yeah, so this is USB-C.
I want my port.
It has like a hole in it, wider. It's also thicker, so wonder if the iPhone will get thicker. And then, maybe not. And then here's the lightning port thing.
But that is something that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
Different port sizes
The thickness.
determine like a lot of the phone.
Yeah.
Minimum sizes, minimum bevels, and that kind of stuff is determined by the size. You're working with millimeters.
Right.
So
trippy. Crazy.
that's one of the reasons why Apple kind of came out with the Lightning stuff.
Does fall start in late summer? Asks James Hake. Hake was going to camp at the Apple store. No, I'm usually kind of a late adopter. I didn't get my first smartphone until after I started working for Bond for maybe like a month. I got a smartphone.
And you
keep
I had a
flip phone forever.
You keep them like nice.
I keep them a while, yeah.
Like you don't ruin them.
And no protection. No protection.
What are you talking about?
What
do you mean protection? What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, you have no protection either.
I'm fine. Works for me.
When I take it to the beach or whatever, I'll put it in a thing. Did Hake say trippy? Yeah. Okay, so that's taking sides? No, but is it factual or not to say that it's faster charging?
I think it is factual, but it's almost implying like the Lightning port can't, But that's been the arms race. It was like Lightning. It was like USB 3.1 came out, Gen 2, and they're like, okay, look, it's gonna charge this fast. And then Apple was like, hey, we could do it too. And so I don't know if it's. It might be. It feels like that a little bit. I see a lot of news stories.
It does saying. It's saying. Well, I don't know if it's not promoting buying an iPhone 15, but it's towing the line for sure.
I think these companies are like this with the news, the media, the money goes around, advertising. It was like that FDA thing with Prime Energy that you did a while ago.
Right.
It was an energy drink, and they're saying, oh, it has too much caffeine. Yeah. And so the FDA's cracking down. But it's just as much caffeine as any other energy drink.
Right.
So it feels like monopoly.
But it's targeted toward kids, maybe.
Exactly. And so you see the
they
hands,
find any angle that they can.
In my opinion, you see kind of the hands in the background.
The puppet masters.
Right.
Plus, people who are in journalism are subject to hype.
That's true.
And they're female-minded, and they're excitable, and they're in their own little world.
Right. You could have some tech guy, and he's just in his mind decide saying C is the way to go.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to make a CNN. I'm going to write my article about it. So it could be that.
I kind of like. See, this iPad takes USB-C, no longer the Lightning port.
Right.
So I think it makes sense that they are going in that direction, apparently.
Oh, yeah. For me, like us, it's like, pick one, please.
Right.
Like make it easy.
So nobody can borrow your charger if they don't have an iPhone.
Correct. And it just makes stuff easier. Like, please just
standardize
win the war already. Someone win and just supremacy over everything.
Right.
Everybody has the same port. Like,
monopolize, please.
As a consumer.
You said that it may have something to do with the EU.
Oh, you know what? The Europe. So this is not just. The thing is these companies, they're trying to make these proprietary things, right?
Yeah.
And USB is the universal one. And it's been changing over the years, and it's been a headache because it keeps changing so much.
Right.
But it's been the universal one. Meanwhile, Apple's saying, we got a better solution. This is our take. Mm-hmm. And so the fight is, oh, look at Apple. They like taking over everything, and we're trying to use the one that's open to everyone.
Right.
And so that's the fight. Europe, the government in Europe has decided to take sides on this one and say, Apple, you have to use USB-C.
Yeah.
And so this was a while ago. And I think there's the catalyst to the American one.
Wow.
And all that. Yeah. I'll see if I can get you an article confirming it. But yeah, it was a fight in Europe. So basically, they're forcing Apple.
Is that socialism? Is that commie capitalism?
Yeah.
Is it
for our benefit?
I don't know if I disagree with it. I don't know if it. I mean, people
New
are so...
EU rules. This is the Guardian. Yeah.
Okay.
Apple to put USB-C and iPhones to comply with EU rules.
Well, not to justify them doing that, but would my show be somewhat different if I didn't have to disavow all the time? Like, I disavow would never have come about were it not for the oppressive censorship coming down on everybody. And disavow this, disavow that. They're trying to make Trump disavow, David Duke supporting him back in the day. So all of these restrictions, although we may feel that they are unjust and we maybe agree with the libertarians more, it's still, people can survive and thrive, and companies can get creative, and human beings can adapt to mess and messy rules and regulations in a way that wouldn't naturally be, but it's still fine, right?
And you're saying the unnatural part of it, are you saying is the government telling you what port you should use?
Right. But when you're given restrictions, sometimes you get better.
Yeah. It became an interesting topic that you brought it up because it brings also into light, for example, the consumer and that whole relationship. Yeah. It's like if we make everything easier for the consumer, if that becomes the number one thing, are you putting by the wayside important things like rights and whatever, like kind of what you're talking about?
True. Yeah.
And so you think about Apple and the whole philosophy of, well, they actually don't, the consumer doesn't really know, we know better, and we'll give them a product that'll work.
Yeah.
Do you know
Apple
what I mean?
knows better, and the consumers, we make these for idiots.
Exactly.
So that they don't have to they can wander any old place, but hit up against a wall so that they don't. Because Apple products don't really get viruses as much, or do they?
I don't think so. And even in its usability, there's restrictions, and you're on rails. I like to call it like you're on rails. It's a guided experience and meant for so that you don't mess it up, and it works for you when you need it to work.
But then it's a little bit tougher to customize, and sometimes when you want to specialize something.
Yeah, and I wonder that assumption in the big tech world, which might be a correct assumption in many ways, how that is affecting policy and stuff like that.
Right, because it's crazy though how restrictive they are, and they have the wrong morals. They don't have morality. You know, they're not Christian. You know, it's like I know a woman who was complaining saying that school districts are suing social media companies because kids are getting addicted and mentally ill. School districts, not parents.
Wow.
And you know, JLP's answer would be the parents are supposed to raise the kids right, and so that way they can protect themselves against the mess that comes with this and social media and all that stuff. But school districts have become the parents. What was my point? They said they are designing these. They're consulting with psychologists specifically to make these social media things be more addictive. Keep scrolling. What's next? What's next? What's next? And hype content, controversial stuff that sparks emotions, anger or whatever, or lust or whatever, and it keeps you involved. Whereas they're not consulting, what this lady said was ethicists in order to make their content good for the person too, in addition to keeping them involved.
Right. Maximizing.
I'm like, ethicists, what about Christians? The point is they're not, and Christians, I mean like people with decency and good sense. It doesn't necessarily even have to be a Christian, but it just has to be somebody with decency. And these people are not very Christian who are running these platforms, and they have very unchristian values. That's why they promote Black Lives Matter, the LGBT stuff, all of this mess that you see promoted in social media, anti-Trump stuff. Oh, make sure you go out and vote. And by the way, Trump is evil.
So true.
Talk about election. Never mind. Hype. Let's call it election hype.
So much hype.
Yeah.
Ridiculous amounts.
Yeah. There's that restriction that makes me change my message a little bit.
You know, I guess you're left almost wondering, for me, it brings up governments and stuff having that control versus me agreeing with, in this particular case,
right?
Me thinking, this is, I think for me, because I'm thinking about myself, right?
Right.
I'm saying as a consumer, this is going to work out for us better.
Yeah.
Make it USB-C, it'll work out a lot of things.
And they'll figure it out.
And then squaring that with, well,
freedom and stuff like that.
Right.
But to be honest,
for me, it
the
comes down
companies
to
are evil, and the government's evil. The world is evil, and so
it comes down to me. For me, what you're saying, who's in charge?
Yeah,
a decent person telling us we all got to use USB-C. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Cool, man.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about the Europe. It makes sense though. Europe pushing that, and it's influencing. I mean, China influences Apple and Facebook and all that stuff, and so does the American government and their employees, their SJW type employees, who are even worse than the owners. Spotify, remember, and and these book publisher companies. There's employees of these book publishers are like revolting against the publisher whom they work for because they're going to put out a Jordan B. Peterson book. Jordan B. Peterson, you're overreacting to him? You know you're messed up.
Totally.
But they're getting pushed around by the squeaky wheel. Crazy.
Very true. You know, the last thing too is, I'm just saying, like, I've noticed too in this conversation, I guess it's weird to think about when you think about society and the gears moving. The only things that are really moving is where the money is, the consumer market. The consumer market is caring about the USB port. And it's like, let's put everything into it. Let's make sure it's working. Grease the wheels right.
Yep.
It's got to work. It's got to work. And it's like, when you imagine all the things that aren't working.
I know, huh?
And I'm just kind of thinking, riffing here.
And they're trying to manipulate. Everybody's trying to manipulate the consumer market.
Yes.
The media likes to hype different things to influence people. It majorly influences elections. I mean, I've heard reports that they influence elections by 10% toward the left. And this was like a decade's.
That's crazy.
I heard that a decade or two ago. Yeah. And the government is trying to hype different things. That's why Trump having so much influence just by being himself is kind of refreshing.
Totally. I mean, I see it. So I saw a crazy report too. It was about politicians who have the most money when usually.
Yeah.
Just to think about that.
That's wild.
And the paradox.
Like, money doesn't influence me.
Right.
but
yeah. And the paradox is like they're trying to control the consumer market and all that. And yet the paradox is it's our money. We have, it may be kind of like fantasy to think of this way, but we saw it with Bud Light a little bit and all that. Yeah. The paradox is the money's in our pocket. We choose where to put it. Like,
right.
Anyways, we choose.
Yeah. And then there's also the big investors.
I did quotation marks. Okay.
There's these big investors in like these. I got a super chat from BasedAmericaFirst, I think, that said that these Netflix and Hollywood companies, streaming services, they're kind of cooking the books a little bit or hiding, disguising how much streams that an individual show gets. So these actors and writers and actresses, unless you're Hassan,
let's go.
They want their residuals, meaning if anybody's streaming, if a whole lot of people are streaming this show that's been out for a while, they're not seeing any money coming in from that, these writers and actors. So that's why they're striking. But BasedAmericaFirst says they're cooking the books so much that if they open up and show how much streams these really are getting, they're the money coming into these companies will be less because the investors are going based on, everybody's watching this. Oh, it's exciting. But if they open up their books, then their investments may go down, and then these people's pay, some of them will be out of a job because they're not going to be able to get all this funding to make all these productions that nobody really watches.
It's all inflated.
Crazy,
it's all fake.
Yeah.
It's all fake.
Literally inflated. That's wild.
Yeah, it's all, you got these people parading in front of cameras like and then reality, they're on like air. It's so funny. That's interesting.
So propped up.
Yeah.
So interesting. You can make money doing out of no value
for only for so long.
Right.
It makes it only just thinking logically here.
Yeah, it
has to kind of fall, right?
Yeah.
Eventually.
And in reality, most of those people are extremely unhappy. Maybe all of them.
Good point.
Yeah, they're just out of control, like most of us.
We need to go BRICS. To go BRICS. The Brazil, Russia, is it India? They're all getting together and making like Brazil, a new world
Russia,
economy
India,
or whatever.
Wow.
We need to go BRICS way and make real stuff. And a real economy is stuff.
Okay.
Like things, like goods and services.
Yeah.
That Bitcoin and inflated Netflix streams.
Interesting, man. Wild.
Yeah.
So we want their Globo Homo. Their Globo Homo is better than our Globo Homo.
At least they can touch it.
Yeah. Interesting, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Nick. That's American Anchor, baby. He's live Monday through Thursday, noonish. And then for an inconsistent amount of time, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Mm-hmm. And then Fridays at
hit that 2 hour mark pretty consistently though.
Okay, nice. 2 hours. And then Fridays 4 p.m. ish.
Thank you.
Unless you were sick.
Correct.
You feeling better?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Thank you, Nick.
Appreciate it.
All right, let's get to Chris in Florida, who's on the line. Chris, thank you for calling, man. How are you doing? Are you there?
It's me?
Yeah, is it
Hello?
Chris? Yes.
I'm not in Florida, but my name is Chris.
Oh, where are you from?
I'm in Toronto.
Toronto,
Sorry, maybe
Canada.
I said it too quickly. Yeah.
Toronto,
Can you hear
Florida?
Me okay? Yeah.
I hear you fine. Yeah, go ahead.
I wish. Anyway, maybe I don't. Not right now. It's a little hot over there, I think.
Yeah, and humid. Is it humid in Toronto?
Yeah, it's like kind of going between. It's getting cold now a little bit, but yesterday was like 30 degrees and really hot. So yeah, it's kind of can't decide what it wants over here.
30 degrees and really hot sounds like centigrade. Celsius.
30 degrees, that's right, centigrade. I don't know what that is. I think that's like 100 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, 30 degrees.
Yeah.
That sounds hot because 20 sounds plenty warm. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Anyways, man, I just wanted to pick your brain, talk to you about the whole Trump won't debate stuff.
Oh, Trump won't debate the rhinos or the people, not necessarily rhinos. Maybe some of them are
not. To be fair, they're not all rhinos, right?
Yeah.
Like Vivek is probably not a rhino, so got to give him credit, I guess.
I don't know about Vivek, because...
I know, I don't either, man.
Yeah, 2 years ago, was it 2.5 years ago? Less than a week after the January 6th insurrection, he was condemning Trump and saying what he did was horrible.
Really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was on Twitter. Like, people have been digging up his old tweets.
Ooh.
Now,
rough.
he might have sincerely changed his mind, and he was just a blind person back then. And
but that doesn't bode well, right?
Yeah, it's hard.
That's an automatic deal breaker, isn't it?
It is. I mean, for me, there is no question. I'm going for Trump. It's still his turn, So I don't even care. But I'm leery of. He strikes me like I told Jesse on his show, like on Friday, that Vivek Ramaswamy seems like a Fox News friendly faker, talking head. Says the right stuff.
So it's funny you bring that up.
Yeah.
Because I was looking up, I was just Googling before I called you just to see if I could find a good starting point. And I did. I found the perfect starting point, which is this article from Fox News. Steve Doocy, Steve Doocy, right? He's the guy who's always sticking it to, the White House press briefing. He's the guy in there.
Son of Peter Doocy. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Wait, is that Peter Doocy?
Steve
Doocy, the guy
Peter
at the White
Doocy.
House. Is that
I'm not sure.
The White House, is that? Oh, geez, I didn't even realize. I just thought Doocy.
Peter Doocy is the son. He's gained weight. He used to be slimmer.
Yikes!
Yeah, he's his son.
Okay, so this is Steve Doocy. This is like the
the older guy.
The guy. The older guy.
Okay.
So it says Trump is helping Biden by not attending the Fox News debate, and the Fox and Friends, who were pretty sympathetic to Trump, they seem to like Trump more than a lot of the other guys on Fox.
Right.
They're kind of having that position, and I just thought that's so interesting. I think I can't understand how anyone could make this argument. Like you said, for me, it's Trump's turn. He's earned our loyalty 10 times over, and it's not even a question. And so where I'm at is how should we categorize these people who still think that Trump needs to prove himself? I know he doesn't, and I know they're wrong. Yeah. But I'm just thinking how, what box should we put these people in? Because they don't belong in the box with us, that's for sure. It's not even close. And so, I can't help but think that, part of my thought has been there's a lot of people who were, and I'll use a big example of this, but Steven Crowder, for instance, was very much against Trump when he was first running. He wanted Ted Cruz, he wanted maybe Marco Rubio, and all this crap. And then now, after 2016, and after watching him, through 2020, did he finally kind of come around and go, okay, well, you know what? He wasn't the worst president. He's actually a really good president. Yeah. And he's sort of gotten more and more pro-Trump as time goes on. But I can't help but wonder, and the Tim Pools of the world, that's another good example. I can't help but wonder if these people are all just kind of snakes in the grass that you can't really trust at all.
Well, okay. Continue. You were about to say something else?
Yeah, and just kind of finishing my point, but I think you understand where I'm going. It's just I don't know if we can ever really trust these people unless they basically, because what I've noticed is these people will, they thought they were clever when they were against Trump in 2015, right? They thought that was really clever. Yeah. And now in 2020, they think that they're clever again for supporting Trump. Right. They never seem to have went, I was wrong. They never seem to have this about face where they just go, I was wrong. I don't even know why. I don't even know what I did wrong. Or then actually figure out what they were wrong about. It's almost like they just kind of hid from that issue and then picked the right position, which is to be pro-Trump. Now and so they retain their support, they retain their viewership. But really, they don't. I don't know if they ever changed. I don't know if they ever, you know what I mean?
I don't follow them that closely. Like somebody said, and I cannot confirm independently, that Vivek, for example, he might have said, "Oh, this guy Tim Pool red-pilled me," and Tim Pool himself used to be a liberal. He was just an independent journalist.
Still is, yeah.
And he's still a liberal. And I don't know. I think of him as a relatively honest, sincere guy. I don't know.
Yeah, so do I. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to come down, and I like Crowder too. But although Crowder is way too emotional, but that's a separate thing. But he comes out and he's like, "Guys, I'm sorry." I'm like, "Who are you apologizing to?" I don't understand. But I think the thing about Trump is that it's and actually Milo, when he was on Tim's show a while ago, Milo Yiannopoulos, he made this point about DeSantis. He was like, "You guys don't understand. DeSantis doesn't stand a chance against Trump. It's not even close. You think it's close, but it's not even close. Like the power that Trump represents is something I think even people who are even a lot of Trump supporters don't even realize what Trump represents. Because I've noticed people will say things like, "Oh, well, he is a bit of a bull in a china shop," and people will sort of call it a cult of personality, but I don't think that's true at all. I don't think that's true at all. Yeah. I think we're supporting Trump for all the right reasons.
Yep.
And not we're not compromising, we're not making some sort of bargain at all.
Yeah.
And so I fight back against that, and anybody who says those things, I just call them out on it. I just think what it is these people who had these opinions before, they want Trump to debate. Here's my first thought. They want Trump to be on that debating stage so that it can look like he's on equal footing with those other candidates when very clearly he's not.
I was thinking about that this morning, that Trump could see it as sort of a slap in the face, an insult that these people think that they should be able to run against him. He's basically running for re-election. He's basically the incumbent because, it's still his turn. But I understand the thinking of the other people, and I know that there are guys. You ask what type of box we should put people in. I say we don't put them in a box. It's not really our concern, Well,
I wouldn't want to permanently put them in any box.
True.
But I do want to tell the truth about their position right now, and I don't want to give it any credence because I want I noticed that's a big thing is people they seem to want to be able to be like, "Oh, well, Trump's pretty abrasive, so we got to try to bring people into the fold."
I'm with you on that.
Totally wrong.
Yeah.
I think you should just tell the truth, and that's the only concern.
People said that he shot himself in the foot with his tweets and stuff like that, or they didn't like his tweets. I loved his tweets. A lot of them.
They were always wrong about it every time.
Yeah. And
just by the by the support he got, they were wrong every time.
People were thinking that he was going to start a nuclear war. He's the only president who didn't start an entire new war. I think I heard.
Yeah, and that's why whenever I hear people like these moderate sort of people who used to be against Trump and now they're sort of pro-Trump, when I hear them still say things like, "Yeah, well, he's kind of a narcissist, and maybe he does a lot of this stuff just so that just for himself, really. It's not so much for the country, but so what? It's it works out all the same." I think those people are horribly wrong, and I think I honestly think they're just as evil as a straight out Democrat. I just don't think there's any. I believe I agree with Jesse when he says if you have one iota of anger, you have no love, and I think that's basically these people. They put on a good face, and that's part of my thing. It's really easy to seem more reasonable than Chuck Schumer.
I know.
It's really easy, and that's not an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said something that I wanted to mention. Oh yeah, his sincerity and Trump's. People are like, "Oh, he wanted power. He wanted to stay in power. He wanted to destroy democracy. He wanted to save the republic. He loves America. There's no question in my mind that he loves America and is doing this because he likes. He's one of those boomers who saw America transform, and he went along with the transformation like a good liberal. He's a New York liberal, but he's still an independent thinker, and he still has a little bit of old schoolness to him. So he wants to get it back on track, and he's a capable man of, he's a man of competence and strength and confidence.
You know, I know that especially like Americans on the right, they want to like have these phrases like "he loves America" and stuff like that. But to your point about not putting people in boxes, you know, I think it's pretty irrelevant. The question is like, is he acting based on and telling the truth? Yeah. Or is he not? It's really that simple. Yeah. And I mean,
great point.
Like, because at the end of the day, this whole like love America thing, what it ends up, it's just like racism. It ends up allowing people to call someone evil without actually having to prove that they did anything wrong at all.
How so? Explain.
Well, it's like that's how like Jesse would say, we don't need the word racism because we already have a word called evil. So we don't need this word called racism, and it really doesn't matter why people do evil. The point is like they have hatred in their hearts, and so they can't help themselves. And so
he is a man of love. Maybe you could just put it at that, because he treats like Kim Jong-un well. He treated that Ukrainian guy well.
You know, James, I think like I don't think I fully appreciate what Trump is.
Yeah.
It's just like Jesus. Like it's easy for me to say that if Jesus came back, that I would be the one like standing up in his defense.
Right.
But even his own disciples disowned him.
Yep.
So I don't even know that I would be strong enough to not do that. Yeah. So I think it's presumptuous to say that you would be. And so like I think like I sort of sit in awe of Trump, and he's proven himself to be right like so many times. And even when I thought he was wrong, you know, like bombing certain countries and things like that. And there's still to this day, there's things that I think that maybe he was wrong about and still wrong about, like vaccine stuff.
Yeah.
But I almost just like still have a wait and see attitude about that stuff, because I'm sick of like I don't want to like, you know, I think I might be wrong about those things. I don't know.
People have Jesus in a box. And so they think that they know what Jesus is like. Even liberals are some of the worst. You're not being very Jesus-like. And they have no idea what they're talking about.
That's great. When Satan tells you what Jesus would do.
I know.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Interesting, man. Great point.
All right, man. Well, anyways, I'll let you go. Get to other callers and whatnot.
What's stuff like over there in Toronto? Like, what are your politics like? I mean, in your country.
I mean, it sounds like you know what my politics
in Canada
are like, but I mean, it's.
I mean, politics that you're having to live in. That's what I mean, but not yours.
Yeah, you know, the truth is like I've gotten almost involved in like a couple of political groups here. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Owen Benjamin.
Yeah.
You know how he has like the Bears, so they have these groups everywhere, and there's one in Ontario, like a pretty big one.
Okay.
And that's the province, the state that Toronto is in. Yeah. And I sort of got involved with them a little bit, and like they're decent people and everything. Although a lot of them are Catholics, you know, we're praying for them. But,
funny.
But I just never found that I fit in any of these groups, and I've realized there's a reason for that. And it's because like I don't really care about the politics at all. I feel like it almost doesn't matter what the politics are. And you know, like, I'll bring up this thing because I just realized this recently. You know, a lot of people, and I used to believe this. I almost want to say like yesterday, I believe this, that if I could go outside the city and meet a girl, because you know you date in the city and you meet these girls and you just like, it's just like, oh my God, there's just no way. They're so insufferable. It's just beyond comprehension. But then you think, well, if I went outside the city to the country, then I could meet like a good Christian girl or someone who hasn't been corrupted by all of this stuff. But the reality is that the parents of those children have been no better than the parents in the city of these children. They haven't at all.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and by the way, that brings me to this other thing about how now all of a sudden, like, the Republicans are all up on how the parents are like standing up for their children against all this like really crazy, you know, like the whole transgender stuff and all that stuff
in the schools that they're teaching. Yep.
Yeah, in the schools, and like so now the whole argument is like, well, you know, these parents are standing up for their children and they love their children, and I just don't know if I believe that that's really true.
Yeah,
and I say that because I'm trying to be nice to them, because I think that they are seeking, obviously, but I actually wonder if they're actually seeking. I wonder if they're not just, again, like my point before about these other people, if they're not just, again, finding a way to call themselves clever, when really they should be finding a reason to call themselves humble instead. I mean, I know they're trying to defend their kids, and so it's a very real thing in their face right now that they're trying to address. Like, let's say your daughter was being forced to compete against a male,
Right.
And so you'd want to be addressing that, like bigger fish to fry. But I think I look back like 10, 15 years, and these parents, like, they just walked right into these issues, and there have been many issues, and they haven't addressed any of them. They want to watch American Idol. They want to watch NASCAR. No offense to that, but they want to do all these things, and they're basically hiding from all these issues. And so when I see like the right pumping up the right-wing parents as though like we're good and they're bad, I just don't think that's true at all. I just don't see how that's true at all. I think we all walked right into this.
I agree.
All together.
It's like what JLP says about these people. They just found something else to be mad about. They're devils fighting. They're not
exactly devils fighting. Yeah.
They should have been protecting their children from the public schools for the last 30 years already in the first place. By now, they should have known better than to send their children to these degenerate public schools. But most people aren't paying attention.
Yeah, and
parents don't care.
And now imagine, because they think they know something now. Now, if you go to tell them, hey, but what about the public schools 20 years ago?
Right.
They would honestly look at you like, what are you talking about? They wouldn't even know. And because they think they have a position that they know to be true on this issue, now their minds are closed to ever hear anything about that stuff. So again, like, to me, it's just like proof 6 ways from Sunday that they're all kind of walking the wide road. Most of the time, I'm usually kind of critiquing Christians as far as Christianity goes than ever critiquing atheists, because I think Christians have basically, they all worship Jesus as though he's an idol.
Yeah.
And like, I hear them say these things, they just say these words, and they just like repeat these phrases, and you just have to believe in Jesus as your savior, and then it's all over. And I just look at them, and I just think, I can't believe that they believe that. It's just amazing to me.
Well, the side of good has been losing because the side of good isn't really good. Like, we're just a cheaper version of the evil people.
Yeah, I have a lot more to say about that, James, but I won't burden you with it today. I guess I'll probably call back, because I think that's a pretty long conversation. But I think that the physical world doesn't really exist, and that it's all spiritual. And that's why when we think, like you guys were talking about, like winning versus like the market, if they're making money, losing money, and all this stuff, who's making money?
Yeah.
And they're not winning or losing at all, because it's all physical.
Interesting. Yeah, true. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Chad last quick question. Chad is asking if you have children.
No, I do not. No.
Okay. Nice, man.
No.
Appreciate your call. Great call, Chris.
Okay, man. Thanks, man.
All right. Take care.
Talk soon. Bye.
Bye. What a mess. Jeff is in Louisiana on the line. Jeff. Oh, no, he's not on the line. He hung up. Oh, he got disconnected. Jeff in Louisiana wanted to talk about Trump not debating either. Interesting that Trump is not debating. It just makes sense, honestly. Speaking of the transgender madness going on, let me talk about Megyn Kelly versus this HIV journalist on this particular transgender guy, silly dude person. I have this in the folder there, Hassan, several tweets. By several, I mean a ton. Benjamin Ryan, perhaps not a Christian, tweeted, and this person has a blue check on Twitter, which thankfully it doesn't mean much nowadays, which I like. Doesn't necessarily mean they're a liberal journalist or a public figure. Megyn Kelly tells me she has no intention of calling so-called trans women, he doesn't say so-called, I put that, anything other than men posing as women. And he's quote tweeting Megyn Kelly, Megyn Kelly. You know, that former Fox News lady gal who's went up against Trump in that first debate way back, or one of the early debates back in 2015, 2016. She says, correct, and will continue to. And she's talking about not all trans women, but this particular so-called trans woman. Interestingly, Claston Bernard, who has called into JLP and Hake before, been a guest on JLP, actually. A Jamaican man who's become American. Are you serious? What is she supposed to call XY? Meaning men. XY. chromosomes makes a man, right? Says Claston Bernard. Some guy, Richard Hanania, says, thank you for your health and science reporting. I shudder to think where health and science would be without work like this. All sarcastic. Because, Megyn Kelly won't call trans women anything other than men posing as women. But that's not exactly what Megyn Kelly said. And this guy is a HIV reporter. I'll tell you how I got that information. HIV journalist. HIV is that disease or something, virus, that gives people AIDS, which happens disproportionately in the among the people who are really not morally straight, just doing this off the deep end nasty stuff, right, frequently. Or needle sharing, needles, drug abuse, stuff like that. But anyway, Megyn Kelly said, here's her quote tweet, correct and will continue to, and she was saying correct and will continue to Benjamin Ryan. I'm presenting this backwards. I'm presenting it to let it unfold the way it unfolded for me when I came across it. Quote tweets Benjamin Ryan, this journalist guy, probably not a Christian, saying, this is how Megyn Kelly speaks about a transgender person. Okay, so this so-called transgender person, she will continue to talk about this particular transgender person that way. And Benjamin Ryan assumes to say, going back to what he said, she has no intention of calling trans women anything other than men posing as women. She didn't say that's how she's going to treat all the transgenders. She said that that's how she's going to treat that transgender. And which transgender is that? Let's go to this number 3. Benjamin Ryan quote tweeting Megyn Kelly. This is Joe Biden's rep, a man posing as a woman, and not convincingly. So says Megyn Kelly, right? Which I disavow it for the sake of my channel, I guess. I don't know if that's enough of a disavowal to not to get a strike. Endorsing the idea of scrubbing the term woman for egg producers. Egg producers. And they don't produce any eggs, do they? They only have all the eggs that they have. This is a side note, right? I learned from Stefan Molyneux that a woman, a little girl, when she's born, baby girl is born with all the eggs she'll ever have. Is that true? And then she doesn't produce anymore. So she's not an egg producer. God produced the eggs in the woman, and then she doesn't produce anymore. Right? Something like that. Anyway, so jealous he can't be a female. Whoa, Megyn Kelly's a journalist too, a female one, right? She's this kind of feminist. So jealous he can't be female, he wants to erase those of us who are. It's a no. And she's sharing this Daily Mail article. Oh, I forgot. Oh, sorry, kids, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies. Maybe I'm not sorry, but I'm dealing with regret right now. Forgive me. Pardon me. I neglected to censor the picture. Normally I censor the faces. Biden's trans health secretary praises Alaska gender-affirming clinic is the headline from Daily Mail. And apparently the article goes on to say he doesn't want to use the term women. He wants to use the term egg producers and stuff like that. Wow, there's a so-called gender-affirming clinic in Alaska. Gender-affirming, if you don't already know, which you probably already know, all know, that's a euphemism for affirming the delusion, not affirming the actual gender, affirming the delusional version of the gender. Now, I'm sorry, I meant to cover that face. I meant to cover it. But that's Richard Levine. He changed his name to Rachel Levine, I guess. Anyway, that's enough. You can take that down. Sort of, to me, oh no! I did censor this one. Okay, show the 5A. This is the person who's making this assumption that Megyn Kelly will refer to all the transgenders that way, which maybe it is a fair assumption, but I don't know. Health and science reporter Benjamin Ryan, contributor to New York Slimes, NBC News, The Guardian, TRF, whatever that is. Other bylines, Washington Compost, The Atlantic. He's a cancer survivor, a Columbia grad, a journalist, he calls himself. New York City, BenRyan.net. So his pinned tweet, he posts this picture, show it for only 5 seconds, on a thread on surviving cancer from July 30th, 2023. Today marks 1 year since I completed my final chemo cycle. And he looks relatively young. So he got cancer at like a young age. He might be younger than Hake. Or he keeps his face cleaner than Hake or something. This year has been arduous yet rewarding. And he shows a picture of himself in like a singlet or something. Anyway. Okay, take that down. But anyway, congrats on surviving cancer for now. That's him. Okay, let me read to you about him. This type of guy who's like a gender Nazi, delusional gender Nazi. He wants to go after Megyn Kelly, apparently, or like highlight the fact that she doesn't go along with that mess, right? After 6 years of volunteer work in the HIV field beginning 1995, when I was in high school in Seattle, I started my journalism career reporting on that epidemic. That was the AIDS epidemic. Editor-at-large at HIV Plus, and then Pause magazine and its sister publications, something in cancer health, covered science of HIV, viral hepatitis, and cancer. In my investigative work, I exposed in The Guardian, which is a far-left foreign outlet, Governor Rick Scott of Florida, his administration for overseeing the effective blocking of $70 million of government taxpayer money, right? Supposedly taxpayer money, to combat Florida's HIV crisis. So Rick Scott was blocking $70 million of welfare money for the mostly radical homosexuals, right? Because HIV is mostly radical homosexuals getting that, right? And then drug abusers, needle users. And then he went in at NBC News, how right-wing scrutiny of transgender care in Tennessee led Governor Rick Lee to axe $8.3 million in HIV funds. So this is like major money going to help the not morally straight to live wronger. I also broke new ground in the narrative behind Harvey Weinstein, you know, that movie mogul producer guy who got Me Too'd. He was the original Me Too victim. If you want to call him the victim. Some of you guys might call him a Me Too monster, where the women and the gays were accusing men mostly of harassing them or assaulting them in the S-wordal way, sexual way. He had questionable financial dealings with some HIV charity. I assisted in a Times investigation into nursing homes that are hotbeds of highly fatal drug-resistant fungal infection. Well, that sounds good. Good for him. Watch out for those nursing homes. Graduated cum laude, top quarter of the class. Thank you for explaining that. I never knew what that meant. From Columbia University. My work has received multiple awards from the Association of LGBTQ Journalists. Oh, no, that's what he is? Some of you guys may already have picked up on that. I had my suspicions, but I don't know. I didn't want to make any assumptions. Crazy. Ooh. All kinds of awards. Oh, he also, look at this. He got an Excellence in Profile Writing Award for his 2020 article in the far-left extremist foreign outlet, The Guardian, about how the HIV epidemic prepared Dr. Anthony Fauci, Phony Fauci, fangirl of Hillary Clinton and Rachel Maddow of MSLSD News. That Fauci. He's like 80-something years old, Italian, short. Pretty fit for an 80-something-year-old, right? That's good. Good for him. But we're not sure how much we trust him. And he seems to lie to protect the public, supposedly, maybe. The HIV epidemic prepared Fauci to battle COVID-19, according to this guy. He got an award for that. Excellence in writing, profile writing. Interesting. Oh, this is terrible. He's often a guest on Sirius Satellite Radio, spoken with NPR, far left, somewhat publicly funded NPR, National Public Radio. Dan Savage's Savage Love podcast. No! Dan Savage is this guy who, I played a clip of him from like 10 years ago saying that we should do mandatory, pipe dream, he was joking a little bit, do mandatory abortions to decrease the overpopulation. Crazy. So that's that guy. That's let's go move on. Let's get a relief and look at Megyn Kelly, a slightly more normal, attractive woman, happily married to Doug, crazy in love with my children, Yates, Yardley, and Thatcher. What a name! What names? And she's a journalist too. Oh no! Don't be a journalist, Megyn Kelly. Megyn. I've always found that spelling of her name interesting. But isn't that so much? If you gotta have a female journalist, at least be a mildly attractive one and a little bit more normal. Isn't that sort of refreshing after seeing that person's profile? Normalcy. But I just one of the main things that stuck out to me was that she didn't say that's how she's going to refer to all the transgenders. She's referring to this one guy who's trying to manipulate, and she's making an assumption that he's jealous of women, which maybe I think the correct word would be envious, right? Jealousy means of something that you already have, you don't want to lose it. Envious means something that you don't have, and so he's envious of women. But people use jealousy when they really mean envy, right? Right, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, super chatters. Man, we're over the top of the hour. And so that's sloppy logic on her part, because she's assuming that Richard, so-called Rachel, I know, I'll get to the music, Levine, not a Christian, is jealous of women or envious of women, but no. Not necessarily. He just wants to be calling them egg producers, which is probably not accurate either. And then the other thing is the other guy whom I profiled, the HIV journalist, which I'm using it kind of as a euphemism, but it's what he is. He's done much journalism on HIV. He made an assumption that she would universally always only ever refer to all so-called transgender women as men pretending to be women, when she said she plans to continue to refer to Richard as a man pretending to be a woman. So that's an example, two examples of journalists jumping to false conclusions. And you hear that all the time with how they treat Trump. They said, oh, all Mexicans are not rapists. Hey, thanks. He zoomed in on her beautiful face. She's married. She has children already. Too old. But anyway, they do that with Trump. And Trump didn't say most of the stuff that they assume. A lot of the stuff that Trump said is accurate and truthful, and they called it lies or not the whole truth, like as if they tell the whole truth. They don't tell the whole truth. So not very high quality journalism, if you ask me. You're supposed to be a little bit more logical, but I guess that's journalists' job, is to deceive with facts and misread and misinterpret. It's true. Okay, I'm going to get to more of your calls, guys, but it's Men's History Month, and it's time for some beautiful music. This is a manly Stavesacre song, if there is such a thing. It's called Nighttown, all one word, Nighttown, no spaces. It's from the 2000 album Collective. It may be from a prior album because collected a few different albums, but it also had some new tracks. New at the time of the year 2000. I hope you enjoy it, you musical Philistines. Cover your ears, press mute, or grin and bear it. Or go outside, shovel snow, rake your leaves, plant your garden, harvest your crops, board up the windows for Tropical Storm Hillary, and I'll be right back. And fireproof your house if you're in Canada or Maui. Maybe it's too late. We wish you well. The rest of hour 2, coming soon. Nighttown, Stavesacre. This sounds good. Be still and cringe. No one knows if tomorrow's gonna come. Godsmack? Jane's Addiction? Hake is the cringe king. New metal. Oh no. POD? No. They're contemporaries though. Christian Avenged Sevenfold. POD was Christian, yep. Duran Duran? Well, thank you guys for bearing with me through the beautiful music. I'm going to get right to your calls after these super chats over on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report, and I mention it so that you know where to go. Lin Yen Chin with a couple of supers. Did you see how dense Craig's emotional constipation was after he went tangent after tangent in trying to protect that 68-year-old effeminate heart of being emotionally bound to Mama's view of the Bible stories? Mouth breathers are all insane like that. And he's referring to a caller on the JLP show. Man, how come... Oh, are you doing this on Streamlabs because JLP doesn't have Streamlabs anymore? Lin Yen Chin? Just curious. Because he super chats about JLP show on the Hake Report, but at least I'm reporting on it the same day as the Jesse Lee Peterson show. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Lin Yen Chin, you ever heard of buymeacoffee.com/JLP Talk, Lin Yen Chin? But thank you, man. I did notice, just to answer your question, toward the end of the JLP show, there was a caller named Craig who talked about Revelations and stuff like that with JLP. It was an interesting call. Check it out. JLPtalk.com for the links on how to find his episode, audio podcast, as well as the video replay. Thank you, man. Yeah, people jump around and they're like, get argumentative, and it sounds like Jesse's, in their mind, Jesse's arguing with them, but he's not. He's trying to get them to answer these questions, and he asks questions to get them to see themselves and to help them to see. That's his main stated goal when talking with anyone. It's not a ego battle, and it's not a prove myself right or prove you wrong battle. So one of the things that I appreciate and have caught on in watching JLP. Nice. Lin Yen Chin says, you suffer whenever you apologize for anything. Apologizing is the opposite of letting go, also known as forgiving. Apologize for hating if you want, but that's how liberals justify destroying you in your apology for making them feel bad. Don't apologize, forgive, says Lin Yen Chin. Okay. Nice, man. Oh, yeah, he takes issue with JLP's understanding of the English language and abuse of it. And he mentioned that, he mentioned in church yesterday, Lin Yen Chin did, about such and such being distractions, kind of like JLP's faulty grasp of the English language is a distraction. So yes, I encourage you, Lin Yen Chin, to overcome being distracted by JLP's not saying things quite accurately. You may fall into the trap, the same trap that Joe from Phoenix, Arizona, has fallen into by, for example, Jesse saying most blacks are violent and stuff like that, and criminal or something like that. I don't know if JLP says that. But it's not like more than 50% committing, or at least being convicted for committing violent crimes. It's not more than that. By most, he might mean the most, or most in a spiritual violence, if there's such a thing. I don't know exactly what he means by it, but instead of asking what he means, he assumes and goes, "You're wrong, it's not true." And he's all mad at JLP for saying most blacks are. I shudder to repeat it. I'm gonna have to disavow it. Mentally R-worded, retarded, Ray. And as an example, he talked about the out-of-wedlock births and things like that, which is just a symptom. It's just a symptom. Okay, it's not the proof, but it's the symptom. And the voting and all that stuff, I think that it's in a manner of speaking, it's a fair statement, but he's intellectual, so he's hung up on the words and missing the message. He's a blind person. So just a fair warning to Lin Yen Chin, I appreciate you, man. In case it applies, right? But thanks, man. That's cool. For the super chats. And I'm caught up on the coffees, I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I guess I should log in case there were any private ones. Let me just double check over on... I mentioned Canadian David's a monthly supporter on Rumble. That's cool. Thank you, man. Rumble.com/ the Hake Report /live for my live feed. Okay, cool. Let me get to Tony in California on the line. You can call in 1-888-775-3773. 888-775-3773. Put a 1 in front of it if you want to dial from overseas using Skype. Tony in California, thank you for holding, Tony. How are you doing? Are you there? Come off of mute. Tony the boomer. Are you a boomer or are you Gen Xer? Cannot hear you. Tony going once. Tony going twice. Tony's out of there. We'll check on Tony. Boomer. He was on hold for 24 minutes, which a lot of people are on hold for 24 minutes, and they're ready. But this one is not ready. Very common. Okay, let me try again. Tony in California, are you there?
Yes, sir. How you doing, sir?
Doing fine. Did you have me on mute?
No. I had stepped away for a second. I had a customer to deal with, but now I'm back at you, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, technically speaking, that was more than a second, but I appreciate it. I'm glad you I'm glad you took care of your customer.
Yeah. You know, customers first, you know?
Yeah, I do.
But the thing is, the reason I called today is to inform you and your listeners to embrace yourselves and get ready for a nasty, nasty ride.
Brace ourselves or embrace ourselves?
Embrace yourself.
Embrace, like hug ourselves?
Well,
that doesn't sound right.
Well, the thing is, what's about to go down, we're gonna have to hug each other after a while because
okay.
it's about to go down. You got Russia, you got China, you got Saudi Arabia, you got North Korea, and you got Africa, the continent of Africa, and they are all working together to come up with a new currency. And once they develop this currency, I forget what they call it, brick or something like that.
Oh.
The American dollar ain't gonna be worth the paper it's printed on.
What makes you say that?
Well, if you do your research, sir, American dollar is really not worth a whole lot today anyway. But once this merge come together, our economy will collapse to a point that we've never seen before. And that dollar bill.
So you meant brace ourselves, and meaning get ready, hold on tight.
Yes, get ready, sir.
But that's not embrace, just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, brace yourself. Then.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Brace yourself.
I accept.
But the thing is, it's a ride that we is not prepared for. It's a ride that we don't want to see, and it's gonna be a ride that's gonna cause each and every individual in the United States to go up against each other because we're gonna be starving, we're gonna be hungry, and we're gonna be desperate.
Wow, that's
because the dollar bill won't be worth nothing.
That sounds like a gloomy prediction, man. Whose fault is
that?
No
prediction. If you research it, you can see for yourself what is about to happen in a few more months, maybe probably by the middle of next year. We are in trouble.
So you're scared of what's wrong with America that we didn't protect ourselves from whatever else is going on in the world?
Well, the thing is, when Obama was in office and Gaddafi was doing the same thing for Africa. And that's the reason why Obama and Hillary Clinton killed Gaddafi.
Oh, because they were making an independent... They were breaking... Does this have to do with the petrodollar?
Yes.
You can
Yes.
only buy and sell oil in U.S. dollars, and
right.
that artificially props up the the dollar.
They going into gold. There won't be no more paper, nothing. It's going to be. It's all the minerals of your land, and we don't have that here.
We don't have minerals on our land?
We don't have much minerals.
Oh, you're talking about in terms of like gold.
Gold, yes.
But isn't that kind of a, I don't know, we'll adapt. We will survive.
Okay, adapt.
I mean, what can you or I do about what Putin's going to do?
That's what I'm trying to tell you, bro. We're going to be in desperate needs after a while. And then they're making all these food products like the
How
chicken.
did you? Who told you this? Because you're never on the economic kick. You're usually on the anti-white story kick.
Wait a minute. Mm-hmm. How do you know what I'm on, brother?
When you call in,
come to you.
I'm not talking about.
I'm to you with it.
Right. I'm just talking about when you call in. Normally, you're on a kick about some white person doing wrong.
For your listeners to get prepared for.
What should we do? What shall we do to prepare?
Hey, all I gotta do is use your common sense and do some research. I'm not gonna give you all the answers. I'm just telling y'all to prepare yourself.
How do you?
Just like I said, prepare yourself for that Hillary hurricane that came through there and messed up Chino, messed up Indio, messed up the South Border and LA, parts of LA.
I did not know that it messed up Chino and Indio.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Chino got flooded out.
Wow. I saw some blacks dancing in the street that was flooded, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then some of them were swimming with their head underneath the water. I'm like, oh, that looks fun.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
And then somebody said, who's going to tell them? I'm like, tell them what? Right. And then I looked in the replies, and they said, oh, there's poop in that water.
Well, I don't know about all that.
Potentially.
But the thing is, even 58 got messed up. Highway 58.
58? Wow.
Yeah.
That's one of the routes you used to drive on your truck when you trucked?
Yes. That's one of the routes my drivers use as well.
What do you do to prepare?
What do I do to prepare?
Yeah.
I can't tell y'all all that.
Darn it.
I can't tell you all that.
I didn't want any personal private information. I just wanted
that's what I can tell you.
How about
all
this?
All I got to do is say, you better invest. That's all you got to do is invest.
Okay.
I'll invest in. That's all I got to say.
But invest wisely, not foolishly.
Not foolishly. Do your research. I always say it. I tell you, I tell my children, I tell my family members, research and invest.
Are those guys wrong for doing that stuff? Was Gaddafi wrong for trying to go independent?
He was looking out for his country and his continent.
Yeah.
And the same thing now, what they doing with Russia, China, Africa, Saudi Arabia, North Korea, and I think some more like France and Britain.
Yeah.
All of them, they are going against the United States. This will definitely harm us to a point that we've never seen before, bro.
Now, I think that they wouldn't be able to, or they wouldn't even necessarily want to harm us if America were sturdy and trustworthy and our dollar were strong and our money was strong. But
when was America ever trustworthy?
I don't know.
Ask the Indians, ask the Japanese, ask the Germans, ask the blacks. I mean,
the blacks are not an honest. They're not. Those are not a good witness. They're not a good witness.
Then you want to go all the way degrade the black?
No, I'm just saying. I'm not degrading you. I'm just pointing out how degraded they already are. That they're not necessarily trustworthy.
They are degraded.
Huh?
Blacks are rising in this country, bro.
Okay, whatever. But I'm just making the point that under Trump we had a stronger economy.
No, you didn't. That's Obama. That's Obama economy. Everything Trump did was already done before he got in office. All he did was ride on top of it. That's it.
He got rid of regulations. Don't you know about regulations being a little bit burdensome?
Yeah, and how much harm did that cause, bro?
Not much.
Yes, it did.
Nope.
Oh, yes, it did.
No, I don't buy it.
Oh, yes, it did. Well, I know you don't want to buy it, but if the truth is the light, let it shine.
Lord. You're one to talk about truth and light. You call in, every time you call in, you make some lie up.
No, see, you want to see, you always trying to
No, it's true.
degrade me.
I'm
It's
not degrading
true.
you. I'm pointing out
If
how
I'm lying
degraded
to
you are.
now, if I'm lying to you at this conversation, anything I said to you was a lie.
You mentioned about
No.
how blacks are rising.
They are rising.
In which way? In what
Black-
sense?
In what sense?
Yeah.
In all senses, as far as the cost, as far as living, as far as education.
How about morality
Come on, man.
wise?
Who's perfect, brother?
No.
one.
Are they improving? Are they rising? Because you are either
Yes,
rising or you're
yes,
declining
yes,
morality wise.
Yes, they are improving in all aspects of life.
Morality?
Yes.
How do you figure?
Man, come on, man. I can't just pinpoint all the aspects of it.
No,
but the thing is,
in one sense, in what sense is what is one example of blacks' morality improving?
and being kind and helping people.
No,
We always
that's not
been
true.
the ones that always want to help others, but no one want to help.
No, they're vicious
us.
and vindictive. They want to get the whites and try to get reparations for something that they owe
you gotta
us.
understand one thing. You got to understand one thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is God's law. You reap what you sow. It
I
ain't
know, but that's
blacks
not-
trying to be vindictive. It's you reaping what y'all sow. So it's gonna
Reaping.
come back at you for what the evilness y'all done to these people of this country.
So are blacks going to reap the viciousness that they have sown?
What vicious did they sow? Who they ever made? What human beings have they ever made a slave?
I think that they're already
for
reaping.
400 years. 400 years. What
Lord.
have they kept
And to this day.
captivity and didn't give them one dime, didn't allow them to read, didn't allow them to stay in their family, didn't separate them from birth. What people did we ever do that to? Nobody.
To this day, huh?
To this day. Nobody.
Asmodor has a super chat saying blacks are rising in criminal behavior, illiteracy, and begging.
That's lies. That's all lies.
That's lies.
It's the white folks. In the red states, you got more murders, you got more crime in red states than you do blue states.
I know,
Do you
because red
research?
states have a lot of blacks in them.
No.
Yeah,
Look at we looking at the Europeans that got all these hate groups that came up. It's more hate groups than America has ever seen before in its history.
Whatever, man.
And you got one of your Proud Boys, one of your friends is on the run right now because he don't want to face the music or go into prison. You need to call him and tell him to turn himself in.
Who is that?
And that's your friend.
Which Proud Boy friend of mine?
You know who he is. I don't want to call his name on the airways like this, but you know who he is because he's your friend. You sit there and dine with him. You sit there and do business with him.
You're talking about Enrique Tarrio?
No, not Enrique. It's another one.
Oh, there's somebody whom I personally know.
Incident.
Okay, well,
Yes,
since you don't want to call out his name, I will agree with that. And
right.
Yeah.
So you know him from January 6th. Put it that way. When they went up there and invaded the Capitol building.
Oh Lord, that's funny.
And defecated and used all kinds of nasty species up in the Capitol. That beautiful Capitol building, y'all destroyed it.
I disavow pooping in the Capitol hallway and spreading it around the wall. I guess I don't think that I would support that.
Is that a lie too? No, it's not.
It is if you're accusing them all of doing that, but I don't think you are.
See, there you go. There you go. Want to twist? Got that pivot going on again. You and Justin love to pivot.
No.
I didn't say all.
Right. True.
I said those who invaded, and those who did that action. They know who they are. They're probably listening right now.
All those who went in did not do wrong.
I didn't say they did.
Right. But you said you
Okay.
characterized it as no. Hold on, man. You characterized it as invading, and that's an unfair characterization for some of them.
It wasn't invading. When you
no, I'm just saying, Tony.
The windows out, that's an invasion,
Tony.
Bro.
Yes, for those people it was an invasion, but for other people they waltzed in there like it was a museum tour.
But they were still trespassing.
That's not an invasion.
They were still trespassing. They still destroyed the Capitol.
You can call it trespassing, I suppose. I suppose you can call it trespassing. I wouldn't have advised that they go in, but sometimes you don't know what's really going on and what you're supposed to do or not supposed to do.
And those Capitol police officers that waved them in, where they at now? They did because they killed themselves. They went suicide.
I don't know. Now you're saying stuff that I don't know to be true. You're saying,
come on, brother.
I never heard this before. I never heard this before.
Look up the words that waved them people in that Capitol building. The Capitol police that waved them in, they no longer exist on this earth.
Those are the ones who killed themselves?
Those were the ones that killed themselves, the one that did the waving.
Are you sure?
Do your research.
No. Are you sure? Just you tell me.
I said do your research, bro.
No. Are you sure?
I'm not. Hey, all I gotta say is research it.
Okay, whatever. So you're not gonna stand by your word on that one.
No, because you know one thing, I want you to do some work too, brother. I can't give you all the answers.
So you're giving me an answer that you won't stand by.
Sir, research it.
I'm not that interested. I just want to know if you really believe what you're saying.
They wish they never did the wave in. I bet you that.
Whatever, man. All right, Tony.
No longer exist. All right, now have a good day.
You too.
And y'all get ready for the ride that you ain't never seen before.
All right, take care. What a mess. Bye. Okay, let me play this clip. I've been meaning to play this clip for quite some time. If I can here, Hassan. Clip 32. New COVID concerns. This is from a week or two ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. It's been a long time coming, you know. Citizen Free Press tweeted this out. New COVID concerns. They're really trying to do this. And the source is from one Curtis Houck, Houck. Curtis Houck. It's coming. ABC News' Good Morning America had a full story in the first half hour on COVID. That's the China virus. Warning of rising hospitalizations. They're really trying to do this? And this was from August 1st, so almost 3 weeks ago. Okay. So, minute and a half long, little ABC's GMA, Good Morning America, with that one black guy who used to be a football player, and he seemed okay with, he had to forsake his dignity by clapping for Desmond is Amazing. You know, that 11-year-old drag queen doing a strip dance on Good Morning America. Ugh. Here's the report. COVID on the rise? Hospitalizations up 12% on the week ending July 22nd, last month. Here it is.
Now to new COVID concerns this morning. Now, the number of people testing positive in hospitals appears to be ticking up. Stephanie Ramos is here now with a reality check on what those numbers mean. Good morning, Stephanie.
Hey there, Michael. Good morning. These days, it's almost impossible to tell how many COVID cases there really are. The CDC has stopped keeping track, and most people don't report their cases anymore. So the best way to track the virus is counting people who test positive during hospital admissions. And that number, while pretty small, is on the rise. According to new numbers from the CDC overnight, COVID hospitalizations have increased 12% in the week ending July 22nd compared to the prior week. But to put that into perspective, hospitalizations still remain at record lows. There were a little more than 8,000 weekly hospitalizations. And for comparison, peak Omicron was more than 150,000. Deaths now have not increased, but there could be reporting delays. The federal government is now setting its sights on treating long COVID. New studies and an Office of Long COVID Research and Practices to lead the the reporting numbers for people suffering from the virus. Michael.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Stephanie. Okay.
I didn't realize that that's Michael Strahan, football player, former football player. I didn't realize that he spoke with a lisp, but he does have sort of a gap tooth. So, Lin Yen Chin says, Michael looks nice. Seems about 105 IQ, and he is above average blats by 20%. So says he. I don't know. Interesting. So it's not a hospitalization for the China virus. It's a hospitalization, and they test you because they're testing everybody still, I guess. or a lot of people anyway. And so they caught with it. Caught with COVID is the name. Does Mike say axe as opposed to ask? Yeah, he's got a bit of a lisp, but there are guys who they don't have their teeth together. They don't have their two front teeth, so they sound like this, something like that. He did know football quite well, says Mike Gibson. But he jumps through the hoops to stay in the mainstream media. Diversity hire. Could be Matt living the dream. They test the poop, don't they? They test like the water, that stuff that's, what is it called? Sewer water? Maybe? I don't know. But it's crazy. They're pushing that. And they're also pushing this. Clip 33. This is the World so-called Health Organization. This is this is almost 3 minutes long. The WHO plan. Now, this is a lady who's in a meeting seemingly making accusations against, I got this from Karma, Karma, which I don't believe in. 44921039. It's Karma 44921039. The WHO plan. WHO plan. And it's this lady from this EuroParl.eu, Meryl Nass. And I looked up this lady, I forget. But here is what she's making, the claim that she's making. And I remember reading about this during the China virus, like, oh, next we need climate lockdowns. And I think that's what this is about. Here it is. Check it out.
We're undergoing a soft coup. And the idea is to create a whole new set of laws and ignore the existing human rights laws and other laws under the pretext of pandemic preparedness and the biosecurity agenda. The WHO is developing through all its nations, but with the WHO Directorate in the United States in charge, a pandemic treaty and amendments to the existing international health regulations that will remove the human rights protections currently embedded in the IHRs, will enforce surveillance, censorship, get rid of freedom of speech, require governments to censor and only push a single narrative. Also, we will be subject, if they can make this work, to vaccines developed in 100 days, which the organization CEPI is planning to do. And one of the people who founded CEPI was Jeremy Farrar, who is now the chief scientist at the WHO, to bring this forward. Other things that the amendments do is to bind the states so they're no longer recommendations but enforceable edicts, provide a liability shield, get rid of intellectual property rights, move supplies from one country to another, enforce digital passports, and the Director General of WHO can demand that a pandemic or a potential pandemic exists. He can just declare it with no standards, and then countries around the world will have to obey. Also, the WHO will tell you what drugs you can and can't use in your nation once a pandemic is declared. Obviously, the budget will increase. One Health is another part of this. One Health is a concept that was created to enable the WHO, with these documents, to take over jurisdiction of everything in the world by saying that climate change, animals, plants, water systems, ecosystems are all central to health. Also embedded in this concept is a peculiar notion that humans are no longer of greater value than animals.
Crazy, huh? That was Dr. Meryl, Meryl Nass. And she was a Maine doctor or internist or whatever, MD supposedly, speaking at EuroParl, European Parliament, talking about how the shenanigans that different people are going to be pulling, or trying to pull, or been pulling. And she was suspended during the China virus. She filed a lawsuit against Maine's medical board, by the way, accusing them of violating her First Amendment rights. The Maine Board of Licensure in Medicine in January of 2022, they temporarily suspended her license, her medical license, investigating complaints about her because she talks too much. She's over involved, and trying to sound the alarm about different things that you're not supposed to sound the alarm about. But creepy stuff, and then it kind of invites, the way that they act, it kind of invites what people call conspiracy theories, stuff that you don't necessarily know or hard to prove or can't necessarily know it's the truth, but it sounds fishy. They are definitely evil, these centralized groups. And they're politically motivated for power and that mama spirit, overprotective mess. Spoiler alert says she's just the actor they've sent out to make you think someone is speaking out against what's coming. Could be. Or they're fine with that. People fill different roles. The nutty people fill the nutty roles. The truth tellers fill sort of a truth teller role. The people who feel like they're the truth tellers. A lot of people feel like they're the truth tellers. Act like they're filling in their role. Making a scene, getting themselves banned from places. Making claims. Some of them true, some of them they don't know to be true. Just accusations. And what can you do about it? Reminds me of Tony from California. Embrace yourselves. Embrace yourselves. A lot of people are that crazy, though. There's these animal rights people they're not for the unborn babies, but they're for more the animal rights, so-called. I mentioned that I wanted to get to Based America First's Super Chat, sort of a review. There were a few here in my... Did I put them in Hake chat? Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so... it's not loading my preview. Okay. From a month ago, Based America First bought a coffee. July 1st, Governor Gavin Newsom, claimed he lowered gas prices by creating a watchdog group in California Energy Commission to monitor excess oil company profits. The mainstream media has been accusing these oil companies of raising gas prices just for a profit, to make excess profits. I don't know if it's true or not. It may be true, but it may not. It's not the whole truth. Commies, says Based America First, double down on stupid regulations and fees and taxes that increase scarcity and drive up cost. And then they blame evil, quote unquote, businesses for making a living. Yeah. They create the problem, the government, their regulations and all that mess. And then they blame the companies for raising prices, which is necessary when you're making it harder on them. Evil versus evil, because the companies are Most of them probably pretty evil too. But the worst people crying, "Oh, that's evil, you're cheating, you're doing wrong, you're blah, blah, blah." The worst people are the ones calling out and complaining. Base America First bought a coffee. Joe Obama administration. This is a month ago, too. Just some little review on their climate mess and energy mess and just dishonesty. Joe Obama administration, which is Sleepy Joe Biden, Obama administration all over again, basically. A lot of his administration, just a bunch of Obama people. Fight climate change by forcing people into non-sufficient solar panel power generation. Also Joe Obama administration. Fight climate change by chemically modifying the atmosphere to block sunlight. That's that cloud seeding. The airplanes doing the, you guys call it, what's that stuff? Skywriting. What's that skywriting stuff that you guys call it? I forget. Chemtrails, yeah. What could possibly go wrong? Can we block the stupid instead? Sorry, kids. Huh. Oh, yeah. They're blocking the sunlight. I didn't even make this connection a month ago when I read this. They're blocking the sunlight with the chemical stuff and that they're spraying in the air. And then they're also installing solar panels that need the sunlight. So you're blocking sunlight from the solar panels that are supposed to soak in the sunlight to make the energy, and the energy that they would create if they had full blast sunlight, even then it wouldn't be sufficient. And now they're blocking even more of the sunlight so it's even less sufficient. Whoa, crazy. I'm a little slow there, Base America First. I got it the second time around a month later. Base America First with a coffee a bit ago. Commies abroad. Nearly 16 million trees were cut down on publicly owned land. I remember this one. In Scotland to make way for wind farms. Wind farms. Cut down trees to make way for wind farms. The trees could have recycled more carbon dioxide, because that's what trees do. They suck in carbon dioxide and they give you oxygen, or air anyway, something like that. Don't ask me. It's called photosynthesis. Or am I wrong? I'm chuckling because I'm thinking about Evil is Real super chats in response to my scientific laymanism. Even worse than a layman. Those trees could have recycled more carbon dioxide than the wind turbines saved during their operational life. Battery electric vehicles use significant amounts of cobalt. Remember that? Beautiful color, cobalt blue. Primarily mined from the Democratic Republic of Congo by child slaves as young as 6 years old, who work in unsafe conditions, severely harming their health and polluting the environment. Commies at home, because those were commies abroad doing that stuff. Commies at home. Demon rats say third world mining is just the price we, not them, have to pay for green energy. Oh yeah, we're paying the price. We're paying the price by enslaving the 6-year-olds in Congo, one of the Congo countries. That's the price we have to pay for green energy. If they even know about it. Tesla is being sued yet again for misrepresenting battery range and longevity, sending batteries to landfills even faster. Do demon rats really care about slavery, children, and the environment? Yeah, because those batteries are going to landfills. But a white man, such as Thomas Massey, is it Thomas Massey? The representative from Kentucky or somewhere? He recycled an old Tesla battery and used it to power his whole house. Pretty cool. At least he showed that on Twitter. Interesting. Isn't that interesting? And this one is really cool. Base America First bought a couple coffees. This is from a while ago, but climate and environment and energy related. The stratosphere is a layer of Earth's atmosphere, roughly between 8 miles and 30 miles of altitude. Hopefully I'm not showing my pits. The Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'apai, underwater volcano erupted January 15th, 2022, a year and a half ago, sending the equivalent of 58,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools of water into the stratosphere and increasing the amount of water vapor typically found there by 13%. Wow, that's a lot. In the stratosphere. Atmospheric water vapor traps heat, of course. That's what's called humidity, among other things, right? But generally condenses to rain quickly. In this case, however, the extra water vapor will remain in the stratosphere 5 to 10 years. Compounding the heating effect is the sun nearing its peak output during the solar cycle of 25, or solar cycle 25. Air temperature may be hotter in some places, such as Phoenix, where it hadn't dipped for below 110 degrees in its highs. Its high was over 110 degrees every day for like 31 days or something like that. Air temperature may be hotter in some places, but in addition to it being summer, it's more likely due to naturally occurring events beyond human control and not global boiling, says Based America First. Yeah, but they want to chalk it up to this or that thing. The fires they want to chalk up to climate change. Some people say that there have been environmentalists who do evil things to mess up the environment, to say, hey, see this? See? Kind of like, it's kind of like a black painting the N-word on a dorm room wall or mirror and saying, see, racism. They're faking the problem by defacing the world. Or the gays doing a swastika on the side of a church building after Trump got elected. This gay organist did it, radical homosexual, and it was him. Or that Israeli guy who called in bomb threats on Jewish synagogues in America. It was fake, unless the gay or the guy was really going to do a bomb threat. But I think it was fake to try to create a problem or pretend like there is a problem. What a mess. Terrible. Kind of fun, huh? Just informative and nice and just remember stuff. You're not being told the whole story, the whole truth. You never know. Even the Bible says we know in part. We know imperfectly. Justin in Fullerton, California is on the line. Thank you for calling and holding, man. I'm sorry to rush you, but you only have a few minutes here. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Thanks, Hake. I hope you survived the hurricane without any problems.
I walked in the rain. I took a little walk down the street over here into the Jewish neighborhood, really the Jewish area, and I walked back, and it was coming down, but I had my umbrella.
Yeah, as you should.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, as far as hurricanes, even natural disasters like fires in Hawaii, it does look like it's a late notification. And I only excuse I heard from the government reports is that they were actually battling a much bigger fire on the other side. So that I guess will be months and months, maybe just a month or 2 months, I don't know. But he said months until like some type of an investigation comes, and then we're going to eventually understand, broken down what happened. But clearly not enough preparation, and it's very suspicious because it's world class. How can that happen?
Yeah. Crazy. It's a mess. And they're not going to tell you the whole... most of the time, I bet you we never really get the truth. Las Vegas, anybody? Las Vegas shooting?
Right.
Which, it would be nice to know, like, the guy's motive. I wonder if that's knowable. Anyway.
Hey, that's a good question. Yeah. I mean, but I think that now they got command. Biden's going to broker a deal with Japan and South Korea, and they're going to basically, have resources that are going to be ready. But those poor people out there had to pay the price of all that. Here it's just a thing to hype up to get people to buy prep and buy a bunch of stuff. But there it was a real problem. And hopefully they can definitely take account, and Biden can get off his butt off his vacation.
Yeah, I don't mind him being on vacation. I kind of prefer him to be on vacation.
Yeah. Well, good talking to you, Hake.
Good to talk to you too, man.
You have
Appreciate
a great day.
All right. Bye. Justin in Fullerton. Guys, this has been the Hake Report. Let me read a few chats because there was a couple of chats here that caught my eye before I play this last bit of music here for you guys. Tropical Storm Survivor. LM blank O, says Jupiter. Matt Living the Dream says they're called typhoons or monsoons. I thought that there were monsoons in like Arizona. I was in a monsoon in Arizona. You just have to go through it. I was camping out in southeastern Arizona. Hurricanes are Atlantic Ocean only. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. I thought hurricanes only happen to the West Coast because I never hear about hurricanes happen to the... No, East Coast. That's East Coast. That's East Coast, that way. I never hear about hurricanes happening on the West Coast this way. Or typhoons. Yeah, typhoons. Is that true, Matt? I wonder why that is. Is it... Why? I know that the Pacific Ocean is bigger. How the news lowers your IQ. Funny. Interesting. So, I don't know. But that was interesting. I wonder if the damage will come later. Because didn't Hurricane Katrina come and went? It came and went. And then after a day or two or three, then the levees broke because the water had built up and then it flooded the blacks out and some of them died because they didn't leave. I don't know. Anyway, guys, this has been the Hake Report. Enjoy this track from Left Out. Wasted. I think it's Wasted Time from the 1999 album, I think, For the Working Class. Some Christian punk. Enjoy, and adios, America. I'll sit with you through it. Nice.
Meanwhile, back at the cross.
Nice.
So distracted by everyday things.
Distracted.
But still, so stupid together. I'm watching time go by. Where am I? Taking my life. Wasting time. Am I just standing still?
Pretty much.
Wasting time. I chase things that won't fulfill.
I chase things that won't fulfill.
Anybody tell you I love you today?
Anybody tell you I love you today?
You are loved. You are loved. I've got better things to do. A worn out and tired excuse. I play the part of a fool. Wasted time. Am I just standing still?
Left Out. Left Out is the band.
Wasted time. I chase things that won't fulfill.
Wasted Love by Megadeth. Better than this trash, says Nugget Man. Apples and oranges. Christian punk? Oxymoron. Live. You gotta try. No more lies. Sex Pistols like? Really? Black Flag?
We hate sin, not the sinner.
We hate sin, not the sinner. Quitters never win. Wasted time. Wasted. Well, adios, America. American Anchor, baby, in an hour.